From New York and on the new Hot 97 app, Ebro in the morning. On Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, Laura Styles. What's Rosenberg's deal? He's on assignment, or that's tomorrow? Today he's sick.
He's sick today.
See, he's missing out on his big money. Daymond John is here. Give it up
happening?
one time. Shark Tank, FUBU.
What's going on?
Fresh out of Hollis, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yo, now listen. You know what's interesting? You know, there's always this Forbes talk, money talk. This one Forbes, that one Forbes.
Yeah.
You know, this entertainer, that entertainer. I don't ever feel like you get your props for. I mean, you do and you don't. I don't know. I don't feel like you're embraced the way you should be for the brand that you built, A, and B, the self-made money. Do you feel that, or am I tripping?
I get that acknowledgement, and I've been on the cover of Inc. I think 3 or 4 times, and Entrepreneur magazine. I mean, truth be told, I probably haven't had any major write-ups in any African American or minority books in 20 years, probably. I got two Image Awards, but other than that, I haven't had any major write-ups in Black Enterprise, Source, Vibe, Jet, Ebony, Essence, any of that stuff. But
Do you feel like, in all fairness, maybe they're just kind of like, of course, like it's like one of those like you're just like a almost like built-in millionaire. Like it's like they take you for granted in a way.
Nah. You know what I think? I think sometimes, because I had asked one of my boys, like this guy named Daytwan, always, you know, he gives me mentions.
We love Daytwan.
He said, you know what? I think you're unattainable now. You're on ABC. You're sitting next to Cuban every day, so maybe you're not approachable. You know what I mean? But then you see Magic and Puff and Jay. But again, they're sports and music related from the initial outset. And if you look at some of the Vibe and Source of them, they're music-based magazines. So I mean, I know
because you're not in a music box or
you're
not
on a certain box. Yeah, I mean, but you know, Black Enterprise maybe. But you know, I just never know. Maybe they think I'm unapproachable. Maybe they think I just ain't gonna mess with them. I have no idea.
Now, do you think, is there a perception that you're not doing business that's for the community? Is that a perception maybe?
I have no idea. Nah, I mean, I still have FUBU. I still have Coogee.
I mean, I know.
You know, I don't know. You know, I never really put much thought process into it. Right. You know, because now don't get me wrong. You know, Black Radio giving me love all day, every day. Any city I'm at, you know, especially like you've always supported us. I come up and they be like, "Come on, let's talk about money and paper and whatever the case is, and fashion and politics." So I get love in certain areas. It's just press for some reason in papers. Nothing much.
You made you started a T-shirt company, if I recall right. That's how it started with T-shirts.
T-shirts and hats. Yeah.
T-shirts and hats. How long from the because this is where I think a lot of people get fucked up in the game. From that first idea, I'm gonna do these T-shirts and hats, to your first million, how much time?
10 years.
That's important.
10 years. Even today, I see companies, I don't care if you're a tech company or anything else, it takes you anywhere from 6 to 8 years to really hit a sufficient amount of scale where you can pull money out and it's a real business, you know. So, I mean, it was about 10 years for me, though. I started in 89, I closed it 3 times up until 91 because I kept running out of money. And then I finally got some kind of public recognition in 96, and then I finally started making dough in 99.
And so running out of money,
FUBU,
how did you go access new money?
Well, I ran out of just $1,000, $2,000 because you know the biggest reason why startups fail is they're overfunded. They go out and borrow $50,000 or mortgage the house for $100,000. They make a lot of mistakes on that money because they keep paying for people to build their website, or they buy inventory and the inventory is bad because it's their first shot at it, you know, and then they turn around and they have to close the company down. They got 7 years of bad credit. Nobody's talking to them and a whole bunch of crappy inventory. So
so how would you manage that? How would you know how to manage that?
Yeah, especially if you don't have the tools. Like if I need somebody to build a website for me, I have to outsource it.
You don't, because what happens is when you start off with $500,000, you got to do it, and then you start figuring it out. So when somebody comes to you and tells you, yo, you need $20,000 for a website, be like, no, I don't. I need $1,000 for a Facebook page. I don't need no website like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
know what you're investing in.
Yeah.
You start figuring it out, right? Because you know you start to know, and then your salespeople who you were paying $3,000 or $5,000 a month to go shop everything, they're gonna keep coming back to you and be like, yo, you know the store likes it, but did you have it in blue? Or next season, once you go and do it, you'll hear the buyer go, nah, I don't want it. and then you're gonna figure it out. Right? Because the salesperson's not going to come back and tell you it's crap and I can't do my job. They're going to sell you on
Because they
how
want
to
to
keep
stay
their
on the
job.
payroll. Yeah.
Right. So when you do the power of broke and you figure that out, you make.
Wait, so what did you say?
I call it the power of broke. I have a book called The Power of Broke. When it's the power of broke, you are forced to figure these things out. You're forced to build a community. You know, the best thing about it is when I didn't have money. I stood on the corner of I stood on the corner of 25 when Apollo Theater let out and everybody was drunk. That's the best feedback you're ever gonna get. They told me what they thought about my T-shirts and my mother. You know what I mean? So like you go back and you gotta figure it out. But if you had somebody out there with a kiosk trying to sell stuff, they're gonna be like, I don't know, the traffic wasn't good that day, or the act wasn't good that day. I ain't have the right color.
So you're saying go small.
Go small.
Get down in the dirt.
Get down in the dirt.
Hit the pavement. Connect with people in a real way.
Yeah.
And build from there.
Build a community. Every single product, every single brand, service, or whatever, you built some form of a community first. And because you want people to talk about your brand when you're not in the room. You know, you want people to be ambassadors and go out there and share the information. And they're only going to get that when they have this one-on-one connection with you, not when they've been serviced by a provider who's trying to, work for 10 other people at the same time. So it's all about building community, building brand. And that's what people do. I mean, I call FUBU the first hashtag of clothing, right? But that's what you're doing today on Instagram and on social media. You have some people out there that have, 10,000 really amazing followers. You have some people out there who have 2 million followers that will never buy from them. Right.
Speaking of FUBU, I saw this conversation on Twitter, and I remember something about LL Cool J in a Gap commercial where he wore FUBU, and he even said "for us, by us" in the lyrics. How did you guys get away with that?
L decided to put it in. L just goes hard, and that's another example, right? L was part of the company from the beginning, and he wasn't just like wearing the hat. He wasn't like being paid by Pepsi and drinking Coke. He just went super hard. So when you have these people like influencers who really are dedicated to your brand, they're gonna go super hard. If not, you're wasting your money. You got to do it yourself.
This was in the commercial, though.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I didn't think of nothing at the time, but yeah, the 05 jersey.
It was one of the biggest, whatever you want to call it, happening advertising, because the Gap didn't find out till about a month later. They already spent about $30 million paying to air the ad.
So what was that conversation like?
Well, as Elle would say, they were a little perturbed, right? But then, they did their analytics and they realized the target market they were trying to hit increased 300% because the kids thought they can get FUBU at the Gap. And then we all made up and gave each other a big old sloppy wet kiss, and they spent another $60 million re-airing that ad.
That's crazy.
And that's smart on their side, because I had an ego.
They leaned into it.
Yeah, they leaned into it, because I'd have been like, yo, man, we got,
Yeah. Now, I just recently was watching the Tyler Perry speech he did at BET, which was talking about for us, by us. Basically, it was about owning. Did you see Tyler Perry talking?
I didn't see. I was at the awards and I had just left right when he was going on.
So he got up and just talked about ownership and investing in yourself and some of the things you're saying about building community.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me when I was watching it that often we hear about being a boss and being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you on, your experience in dealing with people. How many people are actually ready to do what it takes to do that in your experience? How rare is that? Because I think it's more rare than people would like to admit.
I think it's rare. They feel they want to do it, but a lot of times they have the wrong motivation. They want to be the boss to tell everybody to go get them coffee, and they want to come in
That's
late.
That's not what being a boss is.
Nah, being a boss, you up earlier than everybody else, and you go to bed after everybody else, and you thank everybody for your success, and you blame only one person for your failure. Also, you're the only one at risk. Most bosses have, especially if they're their own entrepreneur, they haven't paid themselves for a long period of time, and they have everything in their life leveraged, because you can't tell your employee, I'm not paying you. I mean, they're coming to give you the best effort they can so they can feed their family. So you gotta put that work in. And and most bosses have failed, or entrepreneurs have failed a bunch of times before they ever found success. So a lot of people don't know what that is, and a lot of people don't understand what it is until they finally get into it. But what I do find is the ones who are entrepreneurs and bosses, they found a need that was missing in the market, or a pain point that they felt somebody's got to solve this problem. They keep thinking somebody else is going to do it. Nobody else does it. And they say, you know what? I'm going to do it. And they have this passion or drive to keep solving this problem. So they'll even have a day job and do this at night or vice versa, but they'll do whatever it is to keep solving this problem. And before you know it, they're like, wait a minute, I'm starting to make some money. You know, it's infectious. And that's the difference of being a boss and or somebody who just wants to be a boss.
And how much of being a boss, in your opinion, is about hiring people that are smarter than you and that are better than you?
That's a good point. I don't think I've ever been asked that before. That is absolutely, that's the difference of being a successful boss and scaling a company. Because at first you're going to hire a certain amount of people and you're going to hope they do the best they can. You're trying to figure it out. But when you start to scale is when you hire, when you know, I'm not a good operations person, but I'm a good marketer or brander. Let me hire a good operations person and let me give you a little piece of the company. Mm-hmm. And when you start doing that is when you really start to scale. But that happens, like I said, 5 years in, 4 years in, when you realize, you know what, I've either wasted enough time here or I realize what I don't know, you know?
How much of this talk is in the new motivational album, Visualize? Because I heard you was putting out an album. I was like, damn, he's from Queens. Now you think he can rap.
Yeah.
Just because you from Hollis, you can't rap, my
I cannot rap, and I'm not here to insult anyone who can. I can't even hum.
So what are we getting in this album?
So when I told Chunk, my man, I was like, listen, stop calling it an album. It's motivational tracks. It's speeches that have music underneath them.
So I can work out.
That's exactly the point. One day I was driving, I was listening to Martin Luther King's speech on MLK Day, and a DJ was playing some beats underneath it, and I was like, I need this in the gym, or I need this when I'm about to walk into a speech and crush it, or walk into a room and crush it. And I always feel like I'm a well-known motivational speaker, but if you heard my speech once, you don't need to hear it again. You heard it, thank you, leave. But somebody said, let me just put some music under your joints so people can get amped when they're going into a meeting or when they're on the treadmill or on the train. I said, all right, do it. Of course, like most people, I listened to my voice. I was like, I don't want to ever hear that again. I don't want to hear my voice again. And then I started getting used to it. And then I started actually giving it out with my books and, and certain things. I wanted people to know that I'm embracing fully all aspects of motivation.
So no features. We're not gonna have no features, anything like that.
No, I got some John Blaze stuff. So I'm dropped the same day that Chris Brown, and I wanted Chris on the track, so he gave me his phone number to his guest house's answer machine. He hasn't answered me back yet.
But when I get that verse,
you know what I'm saying?
It's on.
Nah, but he wanted to drop the same time as I did because he wanted to be in the market when everybody was flooding the streaming services for my joint.
Exactly. Now, the real question about this album, no features. Who did the production though? Where these beats coming from?
Young man called named Nobu. And
Nobu and FUBU.
Yeah, it's cool, right? Nobu sound, Nobu and FUBU. Yeah, but you got Fat Man Scoop on one.
So there's a feature.
There's a feature, Fat Man.
Now Fat Man will motivate your ass, won't he?
There you go. Yeah.
Because I've definitely seen people raise their hands when they what's his thing where he's like real hair,
stand
real hair. And I've definitely seen people lying and putting their hand in the air.
Yeah, we got.
You ain't got real hair.
We got some amazing people singing hooks and stuff like that. Listen, I'm none of my lyrics or none of my words rhyme or anything like that. I'm just basically laying down the speech, laying down the motivation.
And so are these things that are taken from things you've done already or you've recorded specifically for this?
Some that I had done already and some that I recorded. And now I gotta say, I couldn't have done this 20 or 30 years ago because I love to use the comparison to, you ever see that commercial, The Most Interesting Man in the World?
Yeah, that's my guy.
I remember when they were trying to cast him, they had a young kid at 20 years old, and I remember them going, he can't be the most interesting man in the world because he hasn't seen anything yet. Mm-hmm. We need a guy a little bit older, 50, with a little top belly, you know what I mean? But they've been around. And as I thought about these speeches and everything that I've said, I really didn't know the value of it 20 or 30 years ago because I didn't make enough mistakes to come back and say, you know what, everything here that I'm saying has been part of my success, or when I slipped up, it's been part of my failures. So I think now I'm more in tune with it as I deliver my motivational speeches and deliver these tracks.
Shark Tank is still on TV. Or am I watching?
I'm in the middle of shooting.
There's so many
11.
episodes. I don't know if I'm ever watching like things from 4 years ago.
I think we're at 200 something episodes now.
And it's heavy reruns.
On with the Kardashians at CNBC. So it's heavy on CNBC.
On all the time.
And then ABC we start re-airing in September on ABC.
Did you have any idea that this show would be that big when you decided to get on?
Absolutely not. I only even did the pilot because I wanted a free trip to LA and to pitch Mark Burnett some of my ideas. You know what I mean? And I said,
Yo,
that's
how
the
you a
only
millionaire
reason.
trying to get free flights though?
That's
why you a millionaire.
Yeah, man. I got a free flight, and I got to pitch Mark Burnett. You know, so they paid for the jet. So I go out there and I go talk to him, and he knocks down all of my ideas and tells me to get back on set, and Shark Tank gets picked up.
What's one of the most successful business ventures that came out of Shark Tank?
This company called Ring. It's
Yes. I know.
Yeah,
Ring.
they came on and they ended up
What's
selling
that?
to Amazon. It's a doorbell where you press the button and it comes up on your camera.
Oh,
Who's
got
visiting.
it.
Well, I think Nas invested in that too. Maybe.
No, he was on.
I think he was in. He was in on that.
He was on Ring.
He was
Yeah,
in
right?
that. And I think they sold to Amazon for $1.2 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so tight.
Now, did you invest in that?
Nah, he
Sick. You're sick.
No. You know what? Because he actually was a guest shark last season. He said, "Yo, I was asking for too much money." He was like, "It was crazy what I was asking for. I didn't know what I was
So
asking."
no
for.
one on the set took it.
Nah, I think Kevin O'Leary did the normal, I want $9 per bell you sell or whatever crap like that, and it was just obnoxious. So, Jamie's good people. Now he's a bigger shark than half of us now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now on the show, have you guys began to run out of is the quality of the people that are coming, the ideas still at the same? Because I've definitely seen some quality and there's been some shit.
You know what? What
It
we're
feels
starting
like
to see-
after 11 years it would start to wane.
No. There's 40,000 people who apply every single year, and only 150 will go before the Sharks, and only 100 will air. Right. So you got a large pot of people. But the show try to figure itself out too. There was one year when like Richard Branson was on all these people, and you see people come on and they have a $10 or $20 million valuation. And I think that most of America can't really relate to that. You can't.
Nobody understands those
you
numbers.
can't say, "Yo, I got $2 million in the bank," and you got your hat in your hand looking for some more money. And somebody in Middle America who's making $40,000 a year can understand that, right? So I think that the reality is they started switching back around to where the origin of the show came from, meaning, yo, I'm 7 years in on this. My kid's college fund is done, and this is my last chance.
So businesses people who are really need to grow their business.
People who deserve that
Real
opportunity. Yeah. Now, okay, there's some nutcases, but who am I to tell you that if you take a blanket and put 2 holes in it and call it a Snuggie, that it's not going to work?
Facts.
You know what I mean? It all becomes the execution
Don't
of
ever
whoever it is.
disrespect Snuggies on this program ever again, okay? You know what I mean? Snuggies is a phenomenal invention. What's your favorite thing that you've seen recently that either you didn't invest in or maybe something that you did?
Well, the one that I invested in that I love the most is a company called Bombas Socks, and they sell the socks directly to you. They came on doing about $800,000 a year. I think they're going to do over $100 million this year. But more importantly, they taught me something very, very important about today's customer. Every time they sell a sock, they give a pair away to the homeless because that's a big challenge that the homeless have for their feet. But back in the days, we used to give at the end of the year,
Wait, socks? I love socks.
Bombas, yeah.
What's your sock game like, though?
Yeah, the soccer game is crazy. But at the
Y'all
last,
need a consultant?
what? You need a consultant?
Y'all need one.
We always need consultants.
That's right. I need to consult for Bombas.
At the end of the year, we used to always give money away, but I realize now today's consumer, they want to give every single time they purchase something. Because, at the end of the year, they want to say, I gave to 200 organizations. So we've changed a lot of our business models around because it shows that today's consumer can buy from anybody, but they want to know, what have you done for somebody lately? And that's just changed the way that I've thought about doing business. I learned that from my Bombas guys.
So with every sock they purchase, one gets donated to homeless
Yeah,
shelter.
so I believe they've donated over 20 million socks now.
Wow. That's amazing.
Ooh, y'all got all whites. I like me an all white pair of socks. Some tube socks, you know what I'm saying? What's my discount?
We're going to send you some socks, man.
I need some socks, man. The white joints, though. Come on, man.
I got you.
Just for talking about it right now, I need 1% of the company.
He needs 1% of the company.
I can't have 1%?
No. That's all been
means
cut
no.
out. That's all been immediate.
First of all, do not let yo, you my brother.
That's why you getting socks.
You not giving me 1%?
Now, first you gotta talk to them, and they gonna say no. I'm gonna tell you no now, so you know what it is.
Or you can't. It don't work like that.
Man, after that pie gets cut up, it gets funny. You know what I'm saying? People get emotional about that type of stuff.
Oh, man. It says here that you've recently been married to his longtime girlfriend.
What are you looking at, man?
That's what it says right here. He recently married his longtime girlfriend.
Yeah. I recently got married. I got married about a year ago.
Good for you. Congratulations,
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Prenup?
You want to go up? Let's go back to the socks, man. You know what I'm saying? All up in the business.
I'm just saying. Now that we in this money talk.
Povich now all of a
No.
sudden.
Now that we in this money talk, you know what I mean?
He's like, Ebro, you're going to get your socks, okay? That's it.
I mean, maybe I can get 1%.
What
about that 1%?
Listen, man, I'm a opinion man, so I'm going to make sure I protect mine, but make sure that my family's good.
As you should.
But make sure my family's good.
What do you see out here? Are you a stock market guy? Are you a Wall Street? Are you into that sort of investment?
I'm in the stocks. I'm in the, I play a little with Bitcoin, and I see the rise of obviously cannabis and CBD going on out there, and health and metal tech and stuff like that. So I get pitched a lot of stuff, and I do a lot of speaking. So I get to peek under the hood of a lot of businesses.
And what exactly do you look for when somebody comes? What's like when somebody comes to you? You're like, I mean, obviously it seems easy. Like when somebody's just not organized and they just don't have their P&Ls and paperwork is together. It's like we don't have nothing to talk about. Or do you listen to ideas that are half baked and
I think you bring up a valuable point. A lot of people that we can't invest in, we don't invest in, is we can't invest in them. They're not structured to take an investment. They don't have P&Ls. They don't have proper accounting. They don't have proper legal and structure. So no matter how many sales or whatever they've been doing, they can't take in the capital, right? Or they've set it up a wrong way. They'll say, listen, the company's named, whatever the case is, because that's the name of my daughter. And I'd be like, well, you didn't clear the trademark. They'd be like, that's the name of my daughter. I can do whatever I want. I'd be like, well, then my next son's going to be named BMW and my next daughter's going to be named, Apple. You can't do that. So a lot of times the structure is not set up. But what I do look for when I see good companies is, number one, the operator. Who's the person behind it? Have they failed a good amount of times, and do they understand what they're doing? Number two, do they know who their customer is? Can they say, my customer is females from 30 to 35 who are health conscious? Because if you don't know who your customer is, you're taking my money and you're using it as tuition to find out who your customer is. And then what is the product? And is there scalability? Sometimes the product is so small of a market that you don't want a partner. You're only going to go to X amount of dollars, and you want me calling you every day asking where's my money? So those are the three things that I really look for in companies.
It says you're worth $250 million. Is that correct?
I don't know. I didn't check it today. Market could be down, you know what I'm saying?
When they give us these numbers to the public on Forbes or whatever, what exactly are we? This isn't money in your bank.
I don't know where they come up with these numbers from. Be very honest, because I guess they look at it as if we've done over the course of X amount of years about $6 billion, and then they look at bringing down as 5% or 10% or whatever goes into your pocket. I have no idea. I've seen some people say. I've seen them tell me that people are worth a couple of $1 billion, and I'm going, I know business. No way in the world that person's worth that amount of money. You know what I mean? Or,
interesting.
Yeah, it all depends on how they're scaling. They may say, well, if that person is doing $1 billion in business this year, and if we times it by 2, if they were to be bought out, they're worth $2 billion. But what if that person never sells the company, and what if the company goes like Blockbuster?
And that's
or
why
BlackBerry,
every year it fluctuates. The numbers
it goes to zero. Yeah, it could go to zero. It can go way higher than that.
So when we see like Jay-Z's worth $1 billion, and I saw the rationale, and the rationale seemed to make sense with the champagne and the ownership of publishing and the art that he owns, and the rationale seemed to make sense, right? Did you read it?
I didn't read it. I just heard about it, and I was like,
we were all happy.
I was like, congratulations. Yeah, exactly. I was like, good for him, and thank God.
And how hard is it to actually get to $1 billion?
It's hard. Well, today, with technology, if you are, because I know what Jay does, he'll put a little something here and here in different tech companies, and one will just pop off.
Like,
right?
I think they had, who had Uber?
He had some Uber.
I think Beyonce.
I believe him and B had some Uber,
did.
right? So one of those things. So if you put that into 100 things, and 50 of them or 60 of them fail, but one of them is a lick like Uber, then you got it right there.
And
So-
doesn't he own with Ace of Spades and the whole chateau and the whole
I think,
land?
but what about
and the
I think
Douce?
I think the other thing that the platform. What is he on the music?
Tidal. That too.
I think Title's a lick too. I think if Title's probably one of the ones that, because remember that's just clicking every 2 minutes. You know what I mean? You know, the Ace of Spades has to be shipped. It has to be this. It has to be that. You know, so what did Clooney and them sell it for? $1 billion.
The
That
tequila?
other one,
Casamigos
sold
was
for
$1 billion.
So they may say, listen, Ace of Spades is moving as many cases as this. If you look at his ownership, 50% or 30% or 75%, all right, we got 200 million here. We got 200 million from Tidal, 200 million from Uber. So
Adds up.
that adds up, of course.
Adds up. But you can say for sure that often when we see these numbers, it's not based on literally looking at their balance sheet.
No, it's not.
It's
not.
based on an assumption
unless they're a publicly held company.
Right.
A publicly held company, you know exactly what they have. Like we know what Bezos has, you know what I mean, or whatever the case is.
Got it. Anything that we should be investing in as people out here who are just looking to make some money?
You know, I like to tell people what a friend of mine told me. You know, if you don't want to go out there and you don't want to start your own business or invest in somebody else, the best I like the market. The market's going to go up. It's going to go down. I expect this thing to go down in about another 8 months to a year. But my friend told me, he said, you know, I don't invest in anything that if it went away that I would care about. I only invest in things that if they went away, it would hurt my life. Instagram would change my life if it went away. Uber would change my life if it went away. You know, I love investing. One of the companies I work with and I invest in is called Shopify. Everybody who ever has a store, if you see retailers
Shopify's
dying
huge.
and everybody puts up a Shopify account, I think I bought it at 28. It's at 300 today, right?
How many did you buy?
3 years ago, I bought about none of your business, but I bought a lot of none of your business. Now,
You know, I was about to do that. I was like, you bought at
yo,
$28.
this is like an investigative reporter, man.
How many did you
I thought we
buy?
was fam, John.
You wouldn't even give me 1% on some socks.
Yo, when I came in here, he already borrowed money from me with no interest. 1%
Well, that was the first thing I said. I said, let me get a 0 interest loan.
1% of Bombas. He has a distribution deal with a bodega over some other stuff here, and something else just happened.
That's what he does.
Listen,
He like
man.
Kevin O'Leary. I feel like I'm on the other side of Shark Tank.
Yo, man, you gotta be on it out here, man. You gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
I've been learning. Look, I wouldn't say that I'm a big investor in Wall Street. I have a few things, but what often we talk about on the show, though, in a simple form, is retirement planning. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the fact that there are things out there that a regular person can do. You know, I started my first retirement account when I was 28 years old.
Smart.
And I was only putting in there like $250 a month.
That's a lot, though.
Right? It was a life insurance retirement plan. So I was putting $250 in there a month. And I set it so that I could retire at 60, I think, because at the time, that's what I was thinking. I just changed it so I could retire at 52.
Nice.
So at 52, I'm going to start getting, and people think retirement means that you're not working no more.
Mm-hmm.
No, retirement means that money's coming back to you because you put it into a union or whatever it is that you 401k, whatever it is, and there's terms on it. So we talk a lot about that because I feel like that's kind of like a way for the common person, the regular person who doesn't quite understand, pick up. And by the way, and I also talk about this, you can call these people. They have a phone number, Northwest Mutual, Charles Schwab. How do I do this? And they have people there that are paid to teach you how to do these
You can
things.
actually go online and pull it up too, and they'll show you if you put in X amount or whatever
Yeah,
the case
they
is,
have the calculator.
whether it's reverse mortgages or whatever the case is, how you can retire. What do you think you're gonna need to live off of at this age or that age? All right, how much do you need to put in for your kids, or whatever the case is? What kind of plan to put in for your kids so that you're not taxed on it when it goes into their college funds or whatever the case is?
Yeah, I just feel like that conversation in the simple form doesn't happen frequently enough.
No,
like
not
in
at
our
all, not
world,
at
we
all.
hear, be a boss, start a business, do all of these things, which are great things also. But in its simplest form, if you put $100, if you at 25 years old was like, you know what, I'm gonna open an account for my retirement. I'm gonna put $100 in this account until I'm 50 years old. And it's gonna, a certain percent every year you're gonna get on that, maybe 5%, maybe 8%, maybe 9%. It depends on the market, right?
You did that. If you did that from 20 to 50 with compound, it wouldn't look like anything for the first 20 years, but then the final 10 years with compounding interest, it would probably be about $8 million. Yeah.
$100 a month.
$100 a month.
And I just don't think that people talk about that.
They don't talk about compounding interest. I remember Tony Robbins likes to talk about this man who was born in African American male who was born in 1920. The highest paid job he ever had was at UPS, making $30,000 a year. He retired. When he retired, he gave away $70 million. He just kept putting it away. Warren Buffett didn't make most of his money until when he was over 60 years old.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's all compounding interest. It's all what we talked about with Jay. Putting a nickel here, putting a dime there, you know what I mean, a bunch of these things. All this money starts trickling in, whether, you put it away at your 401 or your retirement plan, and then it starts kicking back in, and it all starts to compound and bring money back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Daymond John. He's got a new project. Do you talk about this on Visualize?
No, I don't talk about money on Visualize, not in that form, no.
What is it? What form
But
is
he's motivating you if you're
I
about
don't
to
talk
get
about it in
that
that form
money.
because I don't want people to think that to be successful, it's only about money, and then they don't take care of their health or their family or whatever
facts.
other goals
Super
they want in
facts.
life,
Yeah.
right? So I just want them to get excited about walking into that room for whatever that room's going to be. I talk about haters, I talk about failure, I talk about visualizing because you can't hit a target you can't see, setting goals and dreaming and things of that nature, and the words you use a day. We have 100,000 words in English language. We all use only 7,000 of them a day. Are you using love, scale, profit, you know what I mean, religion, family, or are you using hate, can't, won't, never, whatever the case is? So what are the
This is
words
almost
you're
like
using?
meditation. This is state of mind. This is...
That's where it came from. When I read my goals in the morning and night, I used to always play Bill Conte and Rocky and stuff like that just to get me amped, thinking about what I'm reading and give it more substance.
Daymond John, I love you, bro.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for
having
always
me.
coming and showing
Appreciate
us
it.
love.
Thank you,
Until
brother.
I got Chauncey to come off 1%. 1%.
Savage.
Bombers. Give it up, Daymond John.
Thank you.